Welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com, and today I want you to enjoy this bread that I just made. It's oat bread. It has ingredients you already have in your supply. It has ingredients that you're going to be prepared with no matter what happens in our economy, so you can make this delicious bread anytime you want. It's scrumptious. My kitchen smells wonderful, and we're going to learn how to make it today. Now, this recipe is not in my Satisfied Baking with Whole Grains recipe book, but I wish it was. So if you do have this book, you've got white pages at the end. You might want to just write this recipe in at the back of the book so you can keep notes of where it's at and always know where to go to get it. Now, I'm going to put a twist on this oat bread, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell next to it so you get notified every time we post new videos. I'm here to share with you God's recipe for excellent health. 3 ingredients. 1, to help you be confident in your health, understanding how God made your body and how we feed it makes a difference. Confident in the kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. And most importantly, confident in understanding how much God loves you. Well, I'm so glad to have you join me here today. So today, let's get started making this oat bread. Common ingredients, you already have them. You could make this tonight. We are going to start with 1 1/3 cups of boiling water. I know you're saying that that's not water. Right, so our twist for today is I'm going to use milk. And when I went to the store to get the milk, they didn't have the kind I wanted, so I actually bought oat milk. And I thought, well, that's fitting. To this, we're going to add 1 cup of rolled oats. This is not a good recipe for the steel cut, and we do not want to use the quick oats. We want to use the rolled oats. To this, we're going to go ahead and add 1/4 cup of maple syrup. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. The butter is room temperature, and the warm mixture, the warm liquids, is going to help melt that. And we're just going to let this sit for just until it cools down, and then we'll move on to the next step. But we want the oats to absorb the moisture. We want the oats to really pull in that liquid and soften them up to make the most delicious bread ever. Now that this has set for a little bit, you can see it's a lot softer. We're going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of yeast. The warm liquid and the sweetener is going to really help this to rise. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And ready for my secret ingredient? Some vanilla extract. Yes, and actually I'm adding quite a lot because anytime you have a wheat bread, not a white processed flour bread, it takes a little bit more of the flavorings to really experience the flavor. So I added in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now we're going to add 3 cups of flour. Now the flour can be whatever is your preference. Today I'm using spelt, but it could be a hard white, a hard red, it could be Einkorn, amaranth, whatever grain you want to use. This is your chance to experiment. I already have this measured out, so I'm just going to go ahead and scoop it in. I could use my Bosch mixer, but when I use the Bosch mixer all the time, I'm assuming you have the same tools. So today I'm not going to use any special tools to show that anyone can be making this in their home. Okay, keep adding some flour. Now when you do spelt, sometimes it takes more flour than it would if you were using hard red. Spelt just is a grain that just absorbs the liquid faster, and you typically will need anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 cup more when you're doing spelt. All right, now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to save these oats for our topping. We have all of our ingredients in. So now I'm going to go ahead and start hand kneading this. I want to knead it until it's has a good gluten consistency, very stretchy. And then I will know I'm exactly where I need to be, and we're going to have the perfect bread. So I'm just going to gather this all up, do some quick kneading here. And we go from pretty much a mess into a beautiful loaf of dough. Again, I could have used the Bosch mixer, but sometimes it's just fun to do this by hand. And as you do this, think about all the different people that you can be praying for as you're hand kneading. I talk about this a lot in the challah bread recipe, so you might want to check that out as well. And also, in my Satisfied cookbook, it talks about the challah bread and how we can pray for our family. A really beautiful, it's almost like a worship time, the way I wrote it in that book. And it's the way I experienced it in Israel. So I'm just going to keep kneading this until I have just a beautiful loaf of dough. And then we're going to let it rest for 1 hour. And then that time it should double and get nice and light. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for about 7 minutes. And I really want a nice loaf of dough. Okay, so I've let this rise for about an hour. I'm going to take it out and put it on my wood board here, and then I'm just going to flatten it out. And I'm going to roll it up. And then I am going to put it in my baking pan. Like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and paint the top with some egg white. You could just use some water. You could use milk. There's so many ways that you can coat the top just to make a beautiful coating. Then we're going to put some slits in it, like that. And we always want to go down about 1 inch in the bread so that it can rise nicely and have great bubbles inside. And then we're going to top it with some oatmeal, just to remind ourselves that it is our oat bread. And I'm telling you, the aroma when it bakes with that vanilla extract in there is just going to turn your kitchen into, it's just going to be so exquisite smelling that your family's just going to be looking forward to it. All right, so we're going to let this rise for about an hour and then we'll bake it. Well, once the bread has doubled in size in the pan, then you can go ahead and bake it. The oven needs to be preheated to 350, and then you're going to bake it for 40 to 45 minutes. Now, if you make the little mini loaves like this, then it's going to be done in about 20 minutes. The way we know the bread is exactly done is by a thermometer. Just pull the bread out of the oven, insert the thermometer, and when it reads 190, it's done. You don't know how many times I have served bread to guests only to slice in the middle and realize I still have dough. I get in a hurry, I get anxious because I love the bread when it comes right out of the oven, and I don't let it bake completely. So the thermometer has saved me a lot in making sure my bread is completely done. With that being said, you do want to insert it into the middle of the loaf, not on the sides. Well, once that has baked for 40 to 45 minutes, then take it out of the oven, let it cool completely, probably at least 10 minutes, and then you can slice it up nice and beautiful like I have here. But it needs to rest, it needs to cool. If you don't, and you get anxious like I do, it's like, oh, I can't wait to taste it, then it's going to crumble a little bit. But let it rest at least 10 minutes, and then you can slice it and enjoy it. Well, as you can see, I have little loaves. These are for giveaways, just little thank you gifts for people. And then I have my larger loaves. And it's just a delicious recipe that you can use to serve your family. And remember, these are ingredients you already have on hand. And so it's a great prepper bread. You could mix this up. I didn't use the Bosch. I did mill the wheat. So you could use your Vitamix, or you could use a hand grinder. Or if you have flour on hand, you could use that as well. But oats are a staple that you should always have in your prepper supply. And so making the bread out of the oat flour is just an easy way to feed your family well. So don't forget, although the recipe isn't in here, this just has a great collection of recipes for breads, for holidays and special occasions. And then I also wanted to point out, I store my flour in these really heavy duty bags. We get them from Le Chef, and we have them for sale on our site, designedhealthyliving.com, and you reuse them over and over and over and over. I will reuse these for years. There's nothing wrong with that. This is my spelt bag, and it just works well. I'll put my leftover flour in that, put it in the freezer, and it keeps. And then your other tools are your Fisky and your dough scraper. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's encouraged you, one, to be prepared, have key ingredients on hand. The maple syrup could have been replaced with agave, or honey, whatever your sweetener of choice. Because it's a liquid, if you use a dry sweetener, then you need to adjust the amount of liquid that you use in the bread, or you just add more flour. You could add cinnamon to this as well, but definitely the vanilla extract just, your house will smell so good. So it's just delicious. This is the oatmeal vanilla bread. I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, remember, I'm here to share with you God's recipe for excellent health, which has 3 ingredients. 1, I get to teach you how to be confident in the kitchen, and welcome to my kitchen, and confident with your health, which is understanding how God designed your body and how the foods He created for us, and He said those are good, are going to benefit your body. But most important, God loves you. He loves you with an amazing love. He's there for you no matter what your past. He's loved you from the moment of conception, and He will always love you, and He's always ready and willing to have a relationship with you. So thanks for letting me share this with you. It's always my joy and my treat to share with you some delicious oatmeal vanilla bread. Thanks for watching.